your third project there, okay, which is you have to submit basically for this week, okay, on those research and developments kind of works there, okay, how are you going to develop those ideas from here. So if you guys take a look on those demonstrations that I actually have made right here, for a few number kind of videos that you guys can see how far I actually have developed basically those kind of ideas there, okay, based on those titles that were given to you guys, okay, and based on the guideline at the same time there, right? Anyone have any questions regarding to those this third project, what we call that, kind of what we call the submissions over here? Anyone have any kind of questions? Any kind of inquiries over here? Okay, I'm using Liquify at this stage there, guys, okay, in order to improvise and also develop basically the shape, the structures of these creatures there, okay, before I'm going to redraw them back. Okay, most of those designs that actually been created, okay, I didn't actually just draw on top of it, but I try to improvise and also modify before I'm going to redesign the okay. I did show you guys from these lessons basically the okay, how actually I manipulate all these kind of images there, okay, in order to create a creatures, okay, based on the reference that we have there. So right now I try to develop those kind of design of those creatures based on those snakes there, okay, as the subject matters there. So we're using basically this method because I want to show you guys how basically, okay, a person can develop his ideas there, okay, from those imagination that from your what we call the pure imaginations into what we call that into the what we call that into the process of creating back again those kind of what we call that design by using all the tools that we have basically, okay, using those Photoshop for example, and the resources that we have, okay, using the Googles that, okay, to work at the same time. All right, the result of these subject matters that, okay, the drawings that I actually create right now basically look like this there. All right, the result itself there. So if you guys take a look carefully, okay, I actually try to recover, okay, I try to manage to develop those kind of proportions and the line works at the same time, okay, to make it a bit more harmonized and for the whole concept of these illustrations there. And this is basically my rough ideas that I have made to presenting you what we call that those are what we call that illustrations that based on our requirement. Okay, based on from our requirement there, right? So the most important things, if you take a look back again, how actually I'm going to execute them there, right? Okay, I'm using basically my drawing line kind of works here. Okay, the drawing line has to be improved there first, okay, to prove that first, right? Okay, before I'm going to what we call that, add some lot of shading, shadows later on, right? Okay, so we need to improvise the shapes, and also we need to what we call that, visualize based on the reference, but we are not just simply try to trace them, right? We're using those reference to guide us to develop our ideas at the same times. Okay. The backgrounds basically depending there, okay, whether you guys can use those actual kind of photos before you're going to redraw or you're going to paint them back, or you can use those kind of this kind of tricks there, okay, which is I'm using a posterize, okay, to design to what we call that, to create basically those images of this background there. So depending there, okay, how actually you're going to work on that. Okay, I'm using basically this posterize, okay, but the background has to be related with the locations that you choose, okay, for the character has to be suitable there, okay? And not going to be just simply try to add those backgrounds without any relation with those characters itself, okay? So when you choose those characters, the creatures that you're going to design, when you're going to complete the compositions there, okay, with the locations, please find the right kind of reference that works on that, okay? And refer back again to my kind of samples, okay, of demonstrations that I actually have been download to you guys, okay, before you're going to execute any ideas that you have inside your mind, all right? Right, guys, any questions at the moment? So some of the backgrounds, basically, I just redraw them back, okay, but using the reference there as a guide for which works. You guys can see right now, okay, most of the background, basically, I try to minimize the usage of an efforts there, okay, to draw those backgrounds rather than focus more on those characters there. The first thing that you have to understand, okay, please focus on designing the characters there. So I did, for the past these few days, I have designed 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. 4 type of, okay, 4 and 5 there. 5, all right. Okay, this one basically, right, okay, I'm using what we call that the separate kind of elements for the props and the background at the same time, right? Even though those hills, I'm using a reference there to draw them, even though those clouds at the same time, right? Okay, this is basically some rough kind of sketches that I can create earlier to represent what we call that from the title that we're going to create right now, right? Okay, to represent, right? Okay. So the thing is right now, okay, if you check look, okay, I designed a few number kind of characters that based on the same subject matters there. From the same subject matters, but I try to explore with different subject matters at the same times. And when I actually try to design this reference from this reference, right, and you see the major changes that I actually have made, especially on the pose and the features itself. All right. Before I'm going to redraw them back, I just don't trace based on the reference. I try to improvise at the same time. Okay. So all these kind of techniques, methods, and directions how actually going to work on that I already actually post in my YouTube channels there. So please check it out before you're going to work on that to find a bit more kind of understand how to work with it. All right, any questions so far? Any kind of questions, you guys? All right, open up with your webcam for a while there, right? I want to see your face over here. All right, switch on your webcam, everyone, yeah, guys. Switch on your webcam there, right? So I can see your face. You guys can hear me there, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Right, open up your webcam for all there, guys. And please answer my questions there. Is there any questions there regarding to our project 3 there, right? Developments. Okay, I have a few number kind of examples that I get from your friend, right? Who actually have been develop a few number kind of ideas there, right? Okay, one of the things that I want you guys to understand here. We're not just trying to copy paste those subject matters and then turn into our illustrations there, right? We don't actually apply that kind of methods there, because there is no such thing as creative kind of process that going to be applied from that kind of developments, like from that kind of process of working there, right? Okay, so let me check over here. Okay, a few number kind of students kind of works. Okay, for example, like this one there, right? This came from one of your friend here. Okay, when he tried to apply all these ideas there, okay, you have to remember one thing. We are not just based the subject matters, right, okay, on using basically those pictures there, right, okay. So your job is basically, okay, is try to represent basically the ideas that you're going to create, and then try to redevelop, reinvent, and do some modifications to create your own kind of design. All right, that's the things that you have to understand there. Right? All right, I asked you guys to open up your webcam for a while there, guys. Okay, I want to see your face of your parents over here. Open up your webcam there, right? All right, this is something that we are not acceptable there, right? Okay? So there is no such thing of creative process over here. Okay, everyone can actually just paste those photos like this, okay, as a part of those. Just want to create those ideas there, but there's nothing basically can comparing to what actually have been shown to you guys over here. Okay, I want to see those kind of creative process have been developed, okay, for this week before basically you're going to go through with your final kind of what we call the executions on your ideas over here. Okay, all right, so be careful with it when you're going to design them there. Okay, please take more time, do more research in order to develop your understanding. Okay, okay, same goes to this one there, right? What is this there, right? Okay, there's nothing creative that we can see from here. We just paste some of the models from the poses from what we call that Power Rangers and some of the robot faces there, right? They are not acceptable there, right? Okay, remember that, okay? So try to apply creative process to work on that. At the same time, improve our drawing skills there, okay? To execute our ideas over here. All right, we can basically apply, okay, for example, over here, right? Okay, this one. Take a look closely there, right? All right. Even though we have those reference in front of us here, there, right? Okay, now the backgrounds that he tried to draw there, right? What I basically want to make sure that you guys don't make the same kind of mistakes there, right? Okay, when you actually try to sketch out your ideas right now, your characters have been covered with your backgrounds there. So we can see the backgrounds more obviously stand out from those design of your characters there, right? This is basically something that you have to avoid. The quality of line also, we can't actually see from here. And the lion's kind of faces and also the body of this human, just like we copy paste. The same thing that we saw from the previous kind of what we call that suggestion that you saw from your friend just now there, right? Okay. It kind of like the same kind of quality of developments kind of works there, right? So we want to avoid that. Follow back again my demonstrations, how actually I made those kind of things there. For example, here there, okay. All right. Some of you guys haven't opened up your webcam there, right? Okay. To see basically, right, your existing is over here. All right. For example, there, okay, I have a few kind of reference there. I've collected few number kind of reference there, guys. Not only 5, not only 10 there, okay, more than 10 kind of reference there. The guideline that I provide in our brief is a part of our process of guideline to make sure that you guys understand that, right? Okay, so we have to do those kind of what we call the collections of informations before you're going to draw them. I don't want to see any kind of imaginative kind of imagination kind of drawings without any reference. Okay, we need to collect those reference before you're going to redesign them. Okay, take a look over here. Even though I have a very good kind of example of photos that, right, that can be used like this one. Okay, take a look here, right? Even though this is a very good example of photos that I actually collect, right? Then when I actually want to use as a part of my collections of my reference or studies there. Okay, first of all, okay, take a look. Okay, this is basically this kind of what we call that reference is just like you don't have to do nothing anymore, right? You don't have to do anything, right? Okay, because you can follow exactly whatever that the design, those pictures actually have been provided. Okay, but that's not the case there. When you design the characters that based on the creatures there, all right. One of the things you have to understand, okay, we have to make the body, the physicals, the poses, or the anatomies become a little bit more inhuman kind of look, right? Out from the human kind of proportions there. What do I mean by that, right? Okay. So now it's time for me, okay, for example, I'm going to find some of the reference of the head, the first, okay, I can apply from here. Any kind of, we call that, what we call that, any kind of animals there, right? If I want to use, let's just say a lion there, right? Okay, a lion. We have the lion's kind of reference before there, right? From your friend. Okay, let me check that first. Okay, a lion there, right? See, I have the lion kind of reference there. So what I can do over here, yeah, I'm going to crop these images there first. I try to paste that right here. Is it fit or not, guys? Huh? Is it fit or not? Please respond there, right? Is it fit or not there?
No.
No.
Why? Why it's not fit there, right? The gradient map there, right? First. Why it's not fit there, right? Can put over here. Right. It doesn't fit there, right? It's too big, right? It might be what we call that, not too big, right? See the proportion itself there, right? First, whether they're going to be fit or not. If it's going to be fit like this one, okay, the first thing that you can do later on, okay, what else that you can do? I'm going to, okay, save the files there first. Okay, don't forget to save your file all the time there. So what I can do over here with 11, this is group 6 there, right? So the thing is right now, I want to make those proportions a bit more huge there, right? So I will basically use Liquify there to solve this problem there, right? Okay, first of all, I'm using basically this Liquify forward wrap. I'm going to increase the size there. Just a little bit, but not too much there, okay? Because you have to be careful when you come to design basically these proportions there, right? Okay? But this is one of the good kind of way you guys can actually write. Practice your understanding by exaggerate human kind of proportions, because he's actually, right, it's not a human there, right? Okay, he's actually a creature there. I'm going to exaggerate a little bit, okay, to make it a more heroic kind of looks there, right? Okay, So this is basically how people basically, okay, if I actually just cache directly from those reference without show you guys what are the things that I have in mind there, okay, when I actually draw them, okay. So it might going to be get more confused for you guys how actually I get those ideas from there, okay, because creativity is basically, some people say, okay, creativity cannot be taught, right? What I show you guys right now, okay, is a part of the way that I actually develop those kind of creativity, okay. I teach you guys how to develop those creativities using the tools, but you need to experience them and explore this kind of methods along the way that you works on that. Even though the what we call that the face of these animals that I can actually combine them first. Let me combine the images there first, right? By right, okay, the light and shadows are going to be changed a little bit there, okay. Take a look at the light and shadows over here. The light came from this left side there, okay. So the shadows will be kind of cover right here there, okay. What you can do, if you want to make it more better there, right, I'm going to, okay, can I actually write just flip? Okay. This is one of the way there, okay. Flip, there, right. Flip and arrange them back there, right. Okay. Can I actually write exaggerate and distort a little bit there? Because I want to make it this guy basically is a non-human kind of looks there. That right. You see, okay, the light and shadows that are actually change from the positions are going to make a bit more better for those presentations over here. Right. These animals there, right, okay, can actually adjust a little bit on the size of the head there. Okay. Save the files there first. Now it's time for me to change also those animal kind of faces a bit. Using those Liquify. How actually I'm going to change them, right? So all there, right? Make a little bit bigger there, right? Maybe I can actually right, just exaggerate a bit of the hairstyles there. Now, basically those jawline. Okay, the jawline there, okay. All these ideas I've actually developed came from, okay, I want to make more fields there, okay, kind of faces. Okay, before I'm going to redraw them back. Right? So we can actually develop all these kind of imaginative kind of informations that, okay, before you're going to redraw them, right? I didn't actually just simply draw, okay, from those reference only, but I try to execute and develop different kind of approach over here. See? Yeah. Okay. I can add more accessories at the same time there, guys, okay, if I want to. But I think it's enough for me to work on that. And right now, if you saw how actually I redraw them there, okay, some of the elements I did not basically are going to be drawn back again. I will avoid what we call that, draw some of the elements, a few kind of elements I'm going to avoid directly because I want to make any kind of major details directly on those works there. Okay, right now, and for us to redesign them back. All right. You guys can use brushes like pen brushes or pencil brushes. Okay, you guys can use all these kind of common brushes that we have used before. So right now, when I want to draw them, okay, one of the way basically I'm going to draw, and you see that, right? Where did I get these ideas from? Okay, if I actually going to draw the whole things without any reference there, guys, okay, without any reference there, I'm sure basically you won't be able to understand, okay, how actually I develop and construct all these kind of methods of working there, right? That's why I basically, right, okay, want to teach you guys and share with you guys. This is one of the way, basically, how people develop that kind of understanding on their kind of visual kind of works there. Okay? So all this kind of understanding came from all this kind of reference and samples that I actually have been live with it. Okay, so right now, when people say, okay, can I actually draw using imaginations there? So I'm using my imaginations right now to draw basically the subject matters over here. Right? You guys can see basically, okay, the proof that I actually try to use my imaginations back again, not just by tracing the whole things only there, okay, all the time there. Okay, looks simple there, okay, but it takes basically several years there to develop a kind of understanding there. That's why I give you guys one of the shortcut way, but it still need a lot of efforts there, right? It doesn't mean that I give you guys this example how actually you're going to work with those kind of understanding, okay, on these structures, and also redesign those kind of what we call that subject matters over here, but it still has a lot of obstacles there, right? So how to develop the kind of strokes at the same times, okay? But we give you guys one of those efficient kind of way to start with to develop your ideas there. You don't have to draw, you don't have to imagine the whole things along the way there, okay? Just like we used to do there, okay, at the first base, okay, to develop your ideas over here. You need to develop your ideas there right now. So think about that positively there, okay? If you say basically, okay, this one is basically, it's not purely on imaginations there. Take a look back again. Am I actually doesn't use imaginations over here to draw all these kind of strokes and line over here? I did not trace them right here. I'm using as a part of our guideline that works there. Same goes to what we actually have been giving to you guys there. Can you see? It's not based from based on the reference, but improvise them. Okay, we improvise them there. So you're not making the animals just space over those body there, okay? We not just paste them there, right? Remember here, we improvise and redesign the back based on our creativities there. Okay. So how actually I draw those line works, I did give you guys a lot of examples there before. Okay. Right now, your job is to follow back again before you're going to improve on your understanding here, right? Here, right? So what type of brushes? Okay, the brushes that I use right now, make sure you have a very consistent kind of line works there. A lot of people, when they draw that, right, you don't find any consistency on their drawing line there. That's what makes your drawings become a bit more like off from your kind of what we call that strokes that you need to apply when you want to what we call that present back again your kind of design there, right? Because I saw basically there is no consistency on your design, on your drawing line there, right? Okay, the design, the whole thing's not become in one family there, not harmonized enough there, right? Okay? So that's what we saw from one of your friends' submissions over here. The line were not consistent there. They traced them back. This is the trace type of drawings there. You just trace them. We not draw basically by using the right kind of drawing strokes. Okay, the quality of line were not there. It's just tracing only there, right? So we right now, right here, basically there, right? We want to develop basically those kind of drawing strokes at the same time improve your skills. Okay, when it comes to develop these kind of projects here, the final projects there, right? Even though the line works over here a little bit kind of like very thick there, right? Quite thick there, right? So right now, if I want to draw those elements over here, I didn't actually use the same type of what we call that sample that I saw. So I'm going to improvise them a little bit there. Okay, so make sure that you guys understand right now the main objective, the purpose why we actually develop this kind of what we call that what we call that projects over here. Okay, it's not a tracing kind of projects, guys. So I'm going to redesign these elements of this all right, this sort basically there, right? Okay, so I think I can actually improvise a little bit the shapes of it. So how to get all these ideas there? Okay, one of the best way for you guys to develop those ideas is from Google there, right? But if you seem to play a lot of games, you find some of the elements from the games that you can represent the back to works on that. You guys can see all these demonstration that I've done before there, right? Okay, for the rest of those class there, right? Okay? How actually I construct basically some ideas from there. Okay? Draw those kind of what we call that. That's what we call it. Those apps there, right? Okay, using those line. Take a look, guys. Okay, how actually I redesigned it, right? Okay, redevelop those kind of apps there using those kind of line works. So learn from there at the same time. Okay, all this kind of all detailing that, okay, that I saw, I might not going to be used them, okay? Even though these buckles over here, there, okay? So I'm not going to draw the whole things there. I'm going to try to minimize them first, okay? So this part basically, right, I'm going to exaggerate a little bit more and simplify it at the same time there. So I'm not going to draw this part there, right? Yeah. But this part basically, right, I can actually simplify it a little bit. Simplify doesn't mean that you don't actually adjust those kind of elements to make it on your own there. That's why, because we're not tracing there. You saw basically the quality of the works that from your friend just now. Obviously, we can see you just applying those tracings only there. You trace those elements only there. You not actually try to redevelop back again from your drawing skills there. So right now, right here, there, okay, I'm going to readjust a bit over here. But when I actually readjust those kind of line and elements there, okay, they still look fit with the whole design itself. Okay, so right here, right, okay, I'm going to draw basically those kind of, okay, there's a fur line, right, of his hand, okay, of his hand over here. Yeah, right. So the sword itself directly, or the knife directly, the short knife or sword over here. So I'm going to redesign this, the what we call that scrolling there, and then let's just say I'm going to redesign a bit on this kind of sort, right? To make it on my own kind of way there, right? So all these ideas came from my imaginations, but I reinvent them using those guidelines that we have. Okay? So if you talk about imaginations, we put those imaginations part of it there, okay, to develop a kind of understanding on the works there. So how actually going to work right here? So think about it, okay, instead of tracing them there, right? Let's just say that it's too much kind of details, okay. I don't want to have those kind of lot of details there. They're going to be a lot of responsibility that we have to gather there, okay. So right now you guys can actually see there, okay, how actually I improvise those images there, develop that kind of understanding at the same times. Okay, I'm going to draw some of the fur line over here a bit. Okay. So I can draw those fur lines over here. Okay. Take a look at, guys, okay, how actually I redevelop them back, reinvent basically those subject matters based on the reference, even though the reference quite very perfectly can be used, okay, but I'm not satisfied with it. I'm going to challenge back again to redesign the whole thing, okay? Becoming a bit more like my kind of what we call that ideas there, rather than we just trace and apply the whole things directly, okay, to develop those works there, right? So from here, okay, I kind of have that kind of different kind of thinking about these kind of elements over here. So maybe directly I will try to apply this kind of what we call that. Even though it doesn't look quite very I'm going to use this kind of fur, kind of what we call that pants there, right? Okay, to develop basically his pants there, right? I don't want to draw the whole a lot of things, okay, all these kind of details yet there, right? So what can I actually conclude from here? I will basically, okay, either I can use another leg there, okay, if I want to, all right, from this part there, right? Okay, to develop that kind of muscle connections there, okay. I want to show you guys how it works over here. So let's just say that I want to use different kind of legs there, okay. Muscular, right? Okay, muscular, warriors leg there, okay. Just write down there, okay. See whether we can get those muscular legs there, right? So we can use different type of styles that you use. Okay? For example, like this one, right? Okay, a few number kind of muscular kind of legs there. If you want to draw what we call that subject matters like what we have right now, okay, you have to collect all these informations there first, okay, before you're going to draw them, and work smart and in order to develop that basically that kind of understanding at the same time. Okay, can we have another reference over here that can be used? Okay, you see different kind of what we call that reference there. Just now, when you saw basically this design there, right? Okay? This design that I actually show you guys just now. It's just like he's wearing a towel there, right? You want to go to taking a bath there, okay? After this guy, these characters there, right? Okay? Go to what we call that. Go to his what we call that. Do some sort of like you know, like farmer kind of style there. Okay, this is a farmer kind of shape. Okay, the lion become a farmer's there. Instead, what I did right now, this is the warriors there, okay, who actually want to go to fight there, okay. But this kind of lions that you saw there, okay, I want to make sure that you know the logic itself when you design your works, right? Okay? They become like this one, like a nobody afraid with this kind of lions there. Do you afraid with these lions there because of these faces? No. Right? Anyone afraid with these lions there? If you saw right the quality of those kind of design there, okay, and representing basically your ideas over here, comparing to this lion and this lion there, right? Which lion basically you will be more afraid to face there? Which one there, right? Comparing this one and this one, right? Which one, right? Basically, right? This one. This one more afraid there, right? Huh? This one look afraid to you there?
No.
Right. He's basically right. Bring up the chunk. Bring the charcoal there. Okay. You want to go to the farm there. Okay. And want to grow some of the vegetables there. Okay. They act like that there. Okay. You want to make this one look warriors, but it doesn't fit. Okay. So make sure you understand right, okay, how it works there. I already give some comment to your friend there, okay? But I want you to have this kind of logic when you design your kind of characters there. Right? So don't just simply design them, okay, because you saw it's quite interesting there, but it doesn't fit with your requirement. Okay, this is one of the good examples there. So if you find more reference, you will get more kind of ideas from here. Okay. So that's what I said, okay, choose the best one there, okay, to develop your kind of understanding there, okay, especially on your kind of research. That's why we have to do a lot of research there, okay. I give you guys a very simple kind of guideline there, guys, okay. Simple kind of guideline for you guys to follow there, okay. And you have to expand what we call that when you develop your creativities at the same time, right? So this is some of the samples from the games that we saw, but we can use basically those informations back again, okay, in order to develop our kind of what we call that influence and also our own kind of what we call the inspirations there. So we're not actually just trace them, right? I don't want you guys to trace from this game kind of concept design there, right? But you can use as a part of your inspirations there. Nowadays, I didn't play games a lot, guys, okay? But all these kind of images that I saw, it will be a part of my inspirations in order for me to develop back again my ideas in the futures. So that's why do more research. If I ask you guys to do 5 reference of research, right, it does mean 5 only there, guys, please. All right, don't limit your creativities when you want to develop your ideas there. Okay. One thing for sure, okay, if you say, okay, why Mr. Fazal didn't tell us more clear there, okay, they asked us to, in the brief, to find 5, but they do more there, okay. You have to think in this different kind of way there, okay. If I actually put those briefs there, okay, everyone has to find more than, okay, around 20 reference, each animals, and 20 reference of human characters there, okay, or subject matters, and 10 different kind of locations there. That means you have how many kind of works load that you have right now? Briefly, you have around 50 there, right? 50 kind of reference that you have to find for a week, right? You want me to do this kind of brief like that? Anyone want me to make those brief like that, right? Okay. Instead of I put a guideline for you, but I put some specific there. 20 reference, 20 kind of reference of animals, 20 reference of what we call that humans, and 10 different kind of what we call that locations there. They're going to be relate each other before we're going to start to sketch there. You want me to do this kind of brief like that? Or you want me to put a guideline there and make your creativity spread out, but doesn't have any limitations, but I explain back again how to develop all those from 5 and expand your creativities from our demonstrations there. Which one do you want there, right? You want me to expand them by using demonstrations, or you want me to put everything inside those brief there, right? Okay, in details, and you do it, and you, if you actually write submit less than 5, for examples there, or only 5, I'm going to ask you to redraw back again, especially if you're not actually submit and develops and according to our needs and standard that you want to approach there. Which one do you want there? Put yes or no, okay? You want to make this kind of works it more easy for you to develop creatively, or you want me to submit those brief in details and you cannot run away from it? Which one do you want there, right? A or B there, right? Put in those chat boxes, okay? If you don't actually write A, right? If you don't put on your checkbox, okay, more than 60-70%, okay, I would assume that you like for me to add those brief more details. Why A there, right? Why A? Why everyone choose A there, okay? Not more than 50% actually, right? Agree with it. Why A there, right? Why A? You have any reason there? Why A there, right? I have those answers there, okay? Simple answers there, right? Why we have to choose A there, okay, instead of B? Okay, put everything in details there, right? Why we actually put a guideline, but you can actually spread out your creativity more better there, right? Why? Any answers there from there? Why? Do you know the answers there, right? Yes or no? Do you have the answers or not? Yes or no? Hi guys, come on, give me the answer, okay? Do you have answer yes or no there, okay? Y or N there, right? Or you confused there? You find those answers there, right? Come on guys, I want to juice up a little bit there, right? This evening there. Before I continue them, do you have the answer or not? Yes or no there, okay? Y or N there, right? Put on the chat box. Why we have to choose A? Come on there, right? Why is it? You have answer on there, okay? Y or N there, okay? If you say no answer, okay, you don't have any answer, okay, to explain there, okay, I will give you the answers there. If you have yes there, right, the answer, okay, I want to see from those results here. Okay. Any question, right? Any questions there, right? Yes or no there, okay? Why basically we have to choose A, which is we are going to spread out more creativity, okay, on our works of here. Why? Why is it? Do you actually, right, understand the questions or not? Yeah. Why exactly we have to choose that? Guys, respond there, right? This one also a good example there, but it's not from those pictures there, right? Why is it there, okay, guys? So this is the good examples there. All right, the muscle connections there, guys, okay, that we actually can use. But of course, right, okay, this character cannot actually wear sneakers. So the logic need to be there also there, right? Okay. So now, basically, I want to draw the legs there, right? Okay, why basically we have to, basically, guys, okay, check back again, right, okay, guys, okay, how actually I'm going to construct them back. So from here, the answer is simple, guys. Answer is freedom. All right, freedom there, right? Because you have more freedom to choose, right? But the freedom that I actually give you guys, okay, to develop your ideas, it doesn't mean that you just simply draw them without having enough kind of understanding there. Can you look right now there, guys? I combining, okay, if I find that the reference is not quite suitable there, one of the thing is I try to cheat to draw all those kind of details in the most smart way there, right? Okay, remember that, guys. I show you guys how to cheat in a smart way, but at the same times we still meet our kind of what we call that, our kind of main objective over here. Okay, our main objective over here is to design the characters that base on those reference there. Okay, we gather all those informations right here there, guys. All right. There. So now basically I can draw basically those muscles there, okay, on this end, on this creatures over here a bit more efficiently there, right? Okay. So whatever that you're going to do, okay, whatever that we're going to do there, okay, make sure that we basically develop from our studies there, reference there. Don't just simply draw everything without have enough kind of understanding from our reference there. Right? So back in the days there, okay, I just want to tell you guys there, right? It's hard for me to study those anatomies there. Right now, you guys can focus to draw. Can you see right here the balance that I actually get from those two different reference there, guys? Okay, balance there. The next phase that I can actually use, okay, let's just say I love this kind of what we call that, this kind of boots there, right? Can I use them there? Of course I can, right? So what I can do, copy this one, is right here there first. Okay. And I adjust the size there. Okay, first there, right? Okay. Adjust the size. A bit there, right? Adjust a bit to exaggerate them. Okay. Now what I can do, okay? Now I actually teach you guys how to develop those ideas there, okay? And choose the best kind of reference to work on that. Now, right, he's basically right. Okay, this guy basically maybe around more than 7 feet of height there. Right? Change a bit there. Make sure that right, the position is almost right. Okay, first of all, gradient map that first. I'm going to rotate a little bit there to make sure that it fits basically with those design there. Now I can duplicate them. Okay, duplicate and edit, transform, flip horizontals there. You see that, guys, I combining image manipulation subjects with illustrations. Okay, I'm combining there. Okay, image manipulation subjects and illustrations at the same time there. So merge layers there. Okay, merge layers there first. Now I'm going to use Liquify back again. Why I'm going to use Liquify there? Right? Because he's basically is not human there. So that means right, I will basically right I'm going to form basically this his foot become a bit more like a monster's right kind of foot over here. Okay, that's the reason why I'm basically chose okay this subject matter this reference there, right? Okay. This is my drawing over here. So the next phase there, okay, that we can do, of course, we can actually erase this part there first. Okay, because we need to cover with those kind of roots there. Okay, now start to draw them, right? So even though when I draw there, right, guys, I'm going to improve and modify basically those ideas there. I'm not going to draw the whole things, okay, according to those reference. Okay, now basically this part will be kind of detailing there. Okay, what I can do, just draw some of the line first. Okay. Yeah, right. And this part basically I'm going to draw a bit more bigger there. Okay, the size of it. The line works at the same time, has to be changed there to show basically the depth of fields of these drawings there. The form of these structures at the same time there. You see? Why actually use different kind of quality of line over here to show some sort of like depths of fields there. Okay, the distance there between those kind of shapes. So, yeah. So this boot basically, right, has to be the same position as this one, okay? One of the easiest way for me to do, right, the tricks of it, right, if you use basically this kind of what we call that, the symmetrical positions there. How actually going to execute them, right, okay, without drawing the same thing? I'm going to do some selections there, guys. All right, copy paste right here. This is one of the tricks also we can use. All right, but you have to be smart to work on that. So I'm give you guys, okay, flip horizontal step to work there. Right? Okay. Yeah. You don't have to redraw that, right? The whole thing. And don't forget to combine those layers together there. Okay. Voila, there, right? There we have those characters there, okay? That came from these subject matters, which is you saw just now, but I redesigned them back. Okay, I redesigned them back there. Right? Can you see the difference there? Major difference there, guys. Okay, this one came from this subject matters over here to change. All right, and this one came from this different subject matters that to change there. You see how actually we work smart when it comes to technologies nowadays, but of course it will be a lot of hard work there, guys. What I actually try to apply right now, it doesn't came easy for me there, okay? I have a hard time there, okay, but I enjoying my kind of solitude kind of moment all the time there, okay, to develop basically the skills. It's all about that. Okay, it's all about to develop the skills here. Right, from here there, okay, just now, right, average kind of people there, okay, they will draw the whole thing based on the reference there. Average there. I don't want you guys to become average. I want you guys to become somebody there, right? Okay. That's why we go through with this kind of process. At the same time, we try to improvise things there. I can do a lot of things there, guys, okay? If I actually young enough like you guys, I will draw some of the details, okay, on the belt itself there, okay? I will draw all these kind of details if I want to, but at the moment, I try not to, basically, okay? Just want to show you guys, okay, the ideas of it, right? Because I think this is more than enough kind of what we call that, demonstrate there, okay, to show basically how actually my ideas are going to be work. So right now, what we can do, we try to combine all this kind of line there first here. Why actually combine all this kind of line? Because I want to add some shapes of silhouette, okay? Even though I can do some selections, but make sure you clean up the line over here at first. Okay, take the size a bit, clean up the whole line there, right? One of the reasons we clean up this line because I want to, basically I'm going to fill the colors over here. We can fill the colors by using those brushes there, right? But I want to make sure that the whole thing, I'm going to, the process of make those kind of shading, what we call the shapes, a bit more faster there. So please check back again your line drawings like this to combine all those kind of line there. Unless you are not lazy enough there, right? Okay? You can actually color the whole thing using those kind of brushes there. But for me right now, right, I'm going to minimize those efforts because I want to speed up a bit back again on my kind of, what you call that. Okay, this is some of the details there. Okay, using those line work to details there. Remember one thing there, guys, whatever that we do right now, it's all about to develop our skills. I think the sword can be actually, right, see from the back, okay? This one, the side over here. You see that, okay? This part basically there, right? There. So all this kind of awareness, okay, detailing there, right? Okay? To see all these kind of details, you have to practice along the way there. Whatever that you guys do right now is only I think around 10% there, okay? 10% of the process of developing the characters there. Only 10% there, right? But it's good for you to have that kind of exposures right here in the beginning of the process, because later on when you design your own characters for your own animation or comics there, right, you have that kind of basics, kind of foundations there, how to develop your character design at the first phase there, right? So right now I'm not satisfied with the shapes itself, okay, because I think there's a few number kind of selections. I'm using magic wand to work on that. There's a few number kind of line were not connected there, right? I think. This is basically some tedious kind of part there, right? That I basically, okay, in the process of working, I really hate it. Save, okay? Can you see the line works that I produce right now? Just like a coloring book kind of styles there. Okay? Why cannot get the line works so right? Okay. Inverse. And then I'm going to use gray tone, alternate backspace there. Oh, sorry there, right? I have to add new layers there. So another things that I have to make there, right now. So some negative space there. Take a look here, okay? I'm selecting some negative space, right? Inverse, add new layers, there. You see? The rest of it, what I should do, I have to paint them, right? The shapes of it. Okay? There. Because some of the line works that I actually produce basically has the, they're not combined and together directly. There's something like a hole directly, a small hole that I cannot see from here. So guys, why actually we color the shapes into we color basically this maybe this one directly that makes basically those the hole kind of, we call that, there's a hole inside here. With this one directly, can you see? Okay. So little bit kind of like very loose a little bit, okay, on shading on those on those shapes there, right? Yeah. I'm going to, one of the reasons I actually want to shapes them up there, okay, because I want to see those silhouette, the strong silhouette that can be shown there, okay, on our design there, right? So every character that we're going to design there, guys, okay, make sure they have a very strong silhouette that can show their personalities and identities from their postures there, right? Just like you saw just now between the lions from your friend designer, okay? If you actually put into those silhouette, okay, those characters doesn't look quite strong enough as a part of the subject matters there, okay? Even though he tried to draw those muscular kind of what we call that styles there, okay, or postures there, okay, anatomy from there, it still doesn't look masculine enough because it's not huge there, it's not big enough there. And the postures that he tried to choose were not quite strong enough for him to develop that kind of design there at the same time. We have to go through a bit more further from there. So take a look over here, okay, the postures of these animals there. Can you see the strong postures from the silhouette there, right? This is basically the reason why we develop the characters. From the silhouette, you can see those kind of strong postures of these characters there, okay, before we get to add those kind of line work back again. All right, simple as that. From here, you want to add some shadows there. Either you can use those methods that we actually have been before the wrapping by using basically the soft brushes to paint the shadows, or you can use the method that I actually have been shown to some of those demonstrations, using basically the lasso and separate between those shadows by using the comic and manga kind of styles there, right? Okay, so you can choose the racket to work on that. But if you seem doesn't understand how it works again, my suggestions is simple there. You can add some shadings here, all right, by using this kind of methods there to paint later on for next week, okay? Even to paint directly for this week, go ahead, okay? But I didn't suggest, okay? I want you guys to focus more basically on applying basically those kind of develop basically those ideas and design that first, okay? Design that first there, right? Okay, yeah. Okay. Design has to be improved there first before you get to add those shadows there. But I just show you guys how it works, and you guys can try to work with that. But the shadows that I've been working on right now, using the silhouette kind of shapes over here, right? I do some selections there. I'll actually do some selections. Click Control. I click to those layers there, right? See? To the layers over here. All right. When I have clicked to those layers there, okay, select those layers, selections areas there. So what I can do, I will start to find some of the shadows. Okay, I'm going to deselection some of the areas. Okay, this one is quite tricky a bit, guys. Okay, if you don't actually understand, try not to use them. Just like an advanced kind of techniques, okay, to add some shadings there, okay. But the techniques that I actually produced right here were based from. Have you guys using AI before? Anyone have using AI before? Adobe Illustrators. Have you tried use it Adobe Illustrators there for your assignments?
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. You know basically how to use those kind of shapes, okay? The solid kind of shape shadows there, right? Is it? To separate between the structures. Have you guys done any projects based on those kind of illustration styles there? Separate between the shape there using those solid kind of shadows there. It's the same kind of one of the styles that we can use right back the base. vector-based kind of illustrations, but we don't actually apply this one for this semesters there, because this kind of method, okay, I would love to what we call it develops in digital illustrations kind of classes there. Vector-based portrait. This one there, right? How to separate the shadows and the shapes there, right? Okay, together, right? Okay, using this kind of methods there. Have you guys done this kind of exercise or this kind of assignments that you want? Do some separations kind of shapes there, using the solid shadow shapes to design a vector portrait kind of styles. Have you guys done this kind of what we call that assignments there? Have you guys done that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. How is it? Is it easy or not that right? Okay. But right now, what I'm using the same methods that, but I'm using those lasso tools. Okay, I'm using lasso tools to separate between those shadows there. Okay. So the same method that I use, okay, the same method basically that I use, the guys, okay, using those kind of vector based, but I kind of like using those what we call that, the selection tools there, the lasso tools there, to separate the shapes of shadows and highlight. Okay, right now I separate the shadows and the highlight there, right? So it's quite tricky if you don't understand how it works there. But that's why I didn't recommend, but if you guys want to try, go ahead there, okay? Because you have more than enough time to experiment with this kind of techniques over here. Okay, when it comes to sketch out your ideas later on. Okay, so one of the areas over here, right? I click those alternate ALT kind of buttons there to work on this kind of shadings there. So a very quick kind of way for me to separate those kind of shades there between those elements that I want there. I'm not saying this is one of the best, but it can actually use practically to design and to develop basically your kind of illustrations that are a bit more quick and faster, right? But you need to have that kind of understanding there, okay, in order to develop this kind of thing using those light and shadows there, right? So we could separate this part there, right? For a while, okay. If the shadows fall off to the right side, so that means most of the element that I'm going to design, okay, that I should separate here, okay, came from those right side there, okay, the left side have been shades there. So when I actually redesign those shadows over here, were based from the muscle structures, okay, from the body structure that I saw there, right? We're not just simply design those shadows without take a look at those reference there, right? So this part basically, maybe I'm going to add some shadings there, shadows over there. They're going to be look like a patches kind of shadows there, right? Right. So the next thing is this part here. Okay. And a bit on this part there, right? Okay. Looks like I already finished, right? You do some selections there, guys, okay? Do some selections over here. Can you see the selections there, right? Quite complicated there, right? That's why I just want to show you guys how actually it works. But if you want to study a bit more further, okay, first of all, don't forget to copy and paste. This is basically the shadows there. But the shadow is nothing without those drawings there, okay? What I can do, multiply there, right? Where is it? right? Multiply that, see? Multiply that, right? And then I'm going to reduce basically the opacity there. Okay, reduce opacity there to work on that. Can you see that, right? So just now you saw basically I just simply actually draw the shadow, but the shadows that I produced were based from the reference that I saw. But I tried to redesign the shadows there according to my kind of creativity and understanding there, okay, to follow the guideline that we have. That's basically the trick, is it? But from here, I can actually apply some highlight if I want to there. What else I can do from here? So apply some highlights there. For example, like this one there, right? Okay, some highlights a bit. Some highlight a bit over here. A bit kind of tricky on this side there, okay? But this kind of what we call the techniques, if you try to adapt it, okay, as a part of your methods later on for the future reference, for the future kind of methods techniques, is better there, right? It's going to be useful for you there. Some of the elements over here, a bit right here, right there. Yeah. All right, what we can do from here, they have another layer there, okay? The highlight is that, okay? But please basically don't overdo to work on that, okay? So this is one of the methods you guys can actually develop different kind of styles of coloring and methods of shadings there, okay? But the thing is, you have to be more precise some of the elements of those shadows that you're going to apply from there. Otherwise, it's going to be look like you just have those kind of a disease on the skin tone there, right? Okay, but it can be applied and practiced there, right? It works on that. Okay. If you may ask me, okay, even though you don't want, okay, how actually I get all these ideas from? Okay, first of all, check back again those structures from your reference there. I can give you guys some of the tips from, for example, okay, a reference that we have right here. Okay, for example, the reference that we have right here as a guideline. We can use posterizations there, okay, on the techniques that to study more for them. Sorry, there, guys. Posterizations to study those kind of shadows like this. Can you see the okay? How actually separate. But don't use these posterizations techniques directly to draw those shadings there. Because if you follow exactly all this kind of detailing there, okay, they become artificial there. They become like computerization of shadows there, okay? They use like fake shadows there. We want to make more naturals there, okay? But we can use these samples to works. Okay, a sample of this reference that you work there, but we're not actually trying to draw the whole thing there. So from here, we can actually apply them back, okay? Which from those reference if you want to. Okay, one of the techniques there. The other techniques that we can use also, okay, by study basically back again those methods and techniques of these vector-based kind of styles there, or you can watch a lot of manga and anime there, right? Simple thing. Because manga and anime kind of styles, right? If you watch a lot of anime manga there, right? They have basically a very strong kind of shadow styles there. Can you see? They use only two different kind of way to paint those animations there, okay? Or anime manga there, okay? Shadows and base skin tone there, right? Okay, so I'm using that kind of methods to develop those kind of illustration style for these sketches, kind of what we call the progressions there. Okay, because I saw basically, because we can mix them up there, right? Okay, that's what I say. Okay, to develop creativities, you have to expand there, right? You can actually just follow guideline that works, but I give you guys guideline to basically to start with the foundation itself there, okay, and then you can mix them around there. Okay, you can mix around that. Okay, but this one, the paint styles a bit different. They have the 2 or 3 different kind of layering of those shadows there. We can study those kind of things there by looking at the basic what we call that, those kind of illustrations of these animations kind of scene there, right? Okay, So study from there. So that's what I say. When you watch movies, when you play games, okay, don't just play and watch movie as a layman there, right? You have to apply and study and develop your kind of research from there. Okay. So from here, I can actually use a lot of things that guys, okay. I can actually even basically, okay, if I want to make those shadows a bit more blended there, okay, I can use those Gaussian blur effect there, see? Gaussian blur effects. Okay. To make it those kind of shadows a bit more blend there, okay. It can be there, guys, okay. I'm not saying you cannot do that, right? But you have to think creatively to work on it. So I did show you guys how to develop those creativity using the tools there to work on that. Photoshop kind of tools there to work on it. Okay, one of the way you guys can apply that, okay, on your works. Right? How many tips that I give you guys today? A lot of tips there. So right now there, guys, the next challenge is to find the right kind of backgrounds there. So what I can do, we can close this one there first. So from my kind of what we call demonstrations there, okay, hopefully you guys learn one thing. We need to enjoy the things that we do. All right. And at the same time, yeah, I'm scale a bit smaller there, okay, from this size. I'm doing the same assignment as what you do there, right? I'm not giving you guys some of the things that I cannot do there, okay? But I know this kind of thing also really important for you to start to develop your creativities there. And if you take a look closely there, guys, from the first project until the third project that I try to apply there, okay, that I try to do okay, with you guys, they're going to be related there, guys. But the third project are going to be a little bit more challenging because you have to play with your creativities there. You have to expand your creativities, but I show you guys how to be creative here. But how we are going to expand them based on your ideas is up to you here. Okay, it's up to you guys there, right? So right now I have to save my file first. All right, where is it? It's 11 with 6 there, right? Okay, group 6 then. Okay, the background there, right? So right now, how actually we're going to draw those background there, right? There's a lot of way to work on that. There's a lot of way. Either you can use some of the backgrounds exactly from those reference, like a Grand, let's just say Grand Canyon there, for example. You need to have those kind of idea, experience to work on that, all right? Or seek for more reference there. That's it, all right? Okay, there's it, all right? I want to find more kind of what we call that reference that can guide us there. So seek for more reference, okay? Try to find more reference before you're going to decide there. This one quite nice there. Quite nice there, I think. The subject matter is over here. It has a monumental kind of what we call that looks and feels there, see? Very monumental kind of look and feel there. I want to save this one there first. So the ideas that I create for you guys right now there, okay, it all came from my spontaneous kind of what we call that research there. I did not basically plan the whole thing there, guys. But I actually have the guideline from I'm using the guideline from our briefing to develop that kind of ideas. Okay, remember that. I did not basically plan the whole thing, but I kind of using based from our guideline to develop back again my kind of design there, right? Okay. There's a lot of good examples over here that we can use, but I have to choose the best one that way. Yeah. So choose the right kind of what we call the examples. Like, even though lions came from Africa, okay, but this guy basically is a creatures there, right? You can find some African, what we call that Africa kind of locations if you want to, but try to make it not too much kind of detailings there. Okay, Africa kind of what we call that. That's it there, right? It's more like Middle East there, right? But we have a few number kind of good location that we have here, guys. This one look nice there, but this one look more better, okay, because of those what we call that, those kind of horizon that we saw from here. Okay? And this one also quite nice there, guys. Why? Because you know why? Again, there is no much kind of responsibility that I actually will have to do with my background, right? I don't have to draw a lot, right? Okay, this is also one of the good examples there. Work smart at the same time. Okay, instead you work hard. Okay, but work hard to develop that kind of skills, and you have to know the smartest way for you guys to approach it. Okay, let's just say we find a few number kind of samples over here. Base, all right. This one looked nice for me. I saw it quite nice already. Quite nice for me to look into there, right? But it has to be proportionate. It has to be balanced there, okay? Otherwise, there's look like this guy is very giant there. So the next thing is first, okay, before we decide, gradient map, all right, adjust first, okay. Right, I have to close this one again because this has a copyright kind of issues there. Okay. Now, okay, we have one background there. First, we can test it, right? So remember what we did basically before. Okay, the light came from this side. Okay, good. Okay, we have that kind of understanding there on these visuals. Next thing is, I'm going to use those posterization step first, all right, to make it a little bit more like a more like a cartoon styles there, okay, or illustrations kind of styles that instead of like photographic there, right? Okay. Okay, we have this one there, okay, around 5% levels there. Okay, this is one example there. I can reduce the opacity there, okay, to focus more on the characters there now, there, right? This is the first idea there, first background there, okay. The second background that I can use, okay, let's just say I'm choosing this one there, right? Select all, copy, paste that first. Okay, the light came from this side, so I will have to flip that first. At the same time, so I'm going to scale that, right? Carefully scale them first. Is it okay there, okay, this part there, right? I'm going to use them. So go to adjust, gradient map back again. Okay. Now, I think my job is already to go to posterize back again. It doesn't look fine basically for the background already. So it doesn't look fine over here. So the next thing that I can do there, okay, what I should do there basically, if I saw this kind of what we call that the clouds doesn't feel quite better there, okay, what I can do here, okay, to solve this problem there, right, I will basically cut this part there, right, first. Okay, what I can do there, right, I will do some selections for this part there, okay, what I can do some selections using those quick selections tools. Okay, quick selection tools there. Okay, what I can do, right, this part over here, I'm going to delete that first. Okay, it doesn't fit basically with the requirement of those shades of those background there, right? So the next thing is I'm going to duplicate this one there, and I'm going to adjust those posterizations first, around 5% maybe, or 3%, too much there, right? All right, 7% too much there. Okay, 5% also basically, right, not quite suitable for it, okay, because we cannot see basically the shadows on those hills there. Change a little bit. Okay. Around 6 or 7 there, right? We want to show some depth of field from there. So from here, you can actually write reduce the opacities. All right, reduce the opacity if you want to. So before I'm going to reduce them, right, I'm going to adjust basically some gradient map there, right? To make it the visuals a bit more contrast there on the background itself, okay? And put in the characters itself, whether it's going to be fit or not there, right? If it doesn't fit, we actually can change there. Simple as that. So the clouds basically there, right? I actually can draw and design different clouds there. I just say these clouds there, right? To find the right kind of clouds also really important over here. Okay. Stay a little bit. Maybe I can actually distort a little bit there. Now, go to gradient map, then back again. Okay. See the different clouds there? Reduce the opacities there, right? And focus on the characters at the same time there, right? This part, basically, I really not satisfied with it, okay? So we can redraw them back later on. Okay, we can redraw them back later on there. Okay. So the shadows that we want to apply, the shadows fall off at the back there, right? Okay. The shadow fall off at the back there, okay? I think the shadows is too thick here. Can we reduce a little bit there? Okay. So the shadows from the shapes, what I can do, first of all, create multiply, transform, and bend it over here, right? See? There. What I can do from here, okay, the shadow has to be moved into the left side there, right? So what I can do, I go to perspective, All right. And then I'm going to go transform, distort there, right? See? Distort there, right? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Right. Make sure they fit basically with those positions there, right? Okay. If I use those um, this background is not there, right? It can be fits also there. You see, two different kind of elements that we can use there, okay, to work on that. It's all about creativities at the same time there. Okay. What are the things that we can do from here to represent it more better, right? Okay? The shadows of those gradients there, right? What I can do, I can actually do some selections like this first. Add new layers. Add new layers there. Use those gradients. All right, let's just say the shadows there, okay? See? Can you see, right? The gradients kind of shadows there. Then I can actually reduce the opacities to get different kind of look of my presentations there. Okay, basically, I give you guys some of the tips when I'm using digital illustrations kind of subject that works, right? Okay, guys, okay, the background sometimes doesn't have to be draw the whole things there, okay? But we have to focus on the characters there first. This is the first thing that you have to understand, right? Okay? The backgrounds can be redrawn, but try to use a minimal kind of line works. Okay? Minimal kind of line work, because we don't want to make those characters being over the shadows from the background there. You guys can see from here, right? Okay? My presentations, those backgrounds were part of those what we call that supporting element for your character design. Okay, you see, right? Okay? Even though I'm using different backgrounds right now, combine them all together there, right? They still fit there. This is not basically by planning there, guys, but basically from coincidence there, okay? Some spontaneous kind of coincidence that we saw from here. That's what I say, okay? Choose, learn, and spend more time to choose and develop and analyze the right kind of reference there before you're going to decide to work on that. Okay, because if you spend a lot of time to do some research, develop, experiment, right, okay, with your kind of founding there, okay, finding research there, right, you will develop that kind of sense of understanding there, okay, to construct your ideas using those reference visuals and develop your creativities and imaginations kind of works, okay, from time to time there, right. But if I don't want to use them, okay, I use the cloud itself there, right, still can be fit there. Okay, still can be fit there, right? Then I actually reduce a bit there, okay, to make it a little bit more like subtle there, right here. And of course, this part basically has a cloud there, right? So what I can do, can delete basically the cloud kind of areas from the side there. Okay. Save as into background number 2. Yeah. Okay, 421 there, right? See, right, how times fly, right? Okay, when we develop that kind of what we call that research and also development on those kind of studies there, okay? that based on our subject matters over here. Okay? Enjoy yourself to develop and creatively your kind of ideas there, guys. Don't actually limit yourself, all right, to develop that kind of understanding by just applying one or two methods and techniques there. So if you saw basically this kind of samples there, all right, and what actually have been produced right now, and fully this guide directly can be improved more, okay, on your kind of presentations there. Don't just simply just draw and trace them without having the right kind of understanding there, okay, in order to develop your kind of design, your characters for your illustrations. Okay, this is basically a foundations kind of step, okay. There's more for you to learn later on in the futures there, but this is one of the method that you guys can apply there first to develop the first study on character design. Okay, all right, any questions? Any questions here? Any kind of inquiries there? Guys, are you still here there? Make sure you answer the questions there, right? You have any kind of inquiries there? I did show you guys step by step how it works, but in order to understand the whole thing, you have to go through with my videos first, and then you have to keep on practicing there, right? Enjoy the process of developing there, right? There's a lot of things that you guys learn from those demonstrations, but you need to figure out also how to work on that in the future there, to develop your kind of proper kind of skills there. Okay, I'm going to share this kind of subject matters over here, this kind of reference over here. Where is it? This one there. It's a sample of work. How actually I develop this kind of understanding there. Right, this kind of what we call the samples. I'm going to give you guys also, just to let you study back again, right? Oh, this is not the one, right? I want to give you guys those actual kind of reference there. See the comparison there, right? Even though I have this kind of samples there, I'm going to exaggerate a bit more further on this kind of subject matters there, right? Okay, where is it there, right? Oh, this one. Okay, select all, copy, paste, there, put it right here. Okay, so there you go. There, okay, you get those samples there with you. Okay, how actually I gather all the informations before I'm going to redraw them back. Okay. Guys, so far any questions there? Any kind of inquiries? How do you feel about this kind of demonstrations here? Is it hard for you to follow? Yeah, you got that directly on our Google Classroom there. Just check them out back again. Okay. How do you feel about this one, right? Q? What do you think about it? Okay, we have some sort of like samples over here that you guys can use, okay? Videos there at the same times. Okay, what do you think about it, guys? Okay, please respond there, okay? Any kind of questions there? Any kind of what we call that? How to work with this kind of things there. Hopefully you guys get the ideas right now there, okay? How actually going to develop your creativities there. I'll show you guys basically the tips and tricks and the way basically how people can actually think creatively with those imaginations. But I show you guys the tools that can be used to develop basically that kind of imaginations that you have in your mind, but you need to find the right kind of reference that works. Okay, I can actually draw the whole thing without any reference there, but what's the point of that? Okay, I don't want to show only the skills. I just want to show off basically the things there without having enough kind of value for you guys to learn from here. Okay, that's why I give you guys these examples there. Okay, all these kind of 7 kind of demonstrations time that I actually create. Okay, if I can draw 7 kind of characters there, okay, and complete them and present it well for you guys. So I want to make sure that you have my expectation, because you can actually develop more further right here. But of course, it takes very slowing time, but you have to improve from time to time, okay? One of the first thing that you have to remember, okay, you can actually write submit using those kind of line strokes that only there, okay, without having a shadow step first, if you're running out of time to apply the kind of ideas there. But you can continue them back next week to add some of the detailing there. I might not going to do some demonstrations for next week, but I'm going to see how far you guys can go to develop that kind of understanding there first, based on our first progressions on the week for the week 11 there, right? So I might going to be do some sort of demonstration a bit how to finishing those kind of illustrations there. But if you look closely there, right? If I want to design, I want to make it all this kind of presentations complete, I can. Okay, but I want to show you guys basically, if you don't want to submit the whole things looks obviously like this, you can submit them a very simple kind of shadows like this one that first there, okay? Simple kind of shapes like this first, okay? To gather all the information together here, okay? You can draw the outlines of these images if you want to, right? And one of the tricks that we can use, you guys can use this threshold also to work on that, okay? One of the methods we can use also threshold there. Use the opacities, right? And then we can see those kind of differences that are from there. But you have to choose the best kind of reference that works, okay? So you have to choose the best kind of reference to work there. You cannot actually just submit the whole things using the same methods and techniques all the times, okay? So you have to be careful with it when you submit your work here, okay, or the technique that you're going to use, okay? So be smart to choose the right kind of techniques when you want to apply them, okay? Not all techniques can be applied in the same methods over here. So you have to choose the best one, the right one for you guys to work to start with there. Okay, all right. You guys, any questions there? Any questions, any inquiries? No? So hopefully you guys, okay, can get more values on these demonstrations. All right. I try to help you guys to understand a bit more further, but it's up to you guys to develop that kind of creativity there. And remember one thing there, guys. One of the most important thing about all this lesson is your drawing line has to be improved there at the same time. That's the hardest things there. We can see from most of those submissions there, right? Okay. So remember that, okay? And use your image manipulations kind of understanding, vector-based AI kind of understanding to apply on these illustrations kind of techniques. I'm actually combining all those disciplines together in this third project there, right? Okay. So thank you very much. Have a good day. And don't forget to submit your works for this weekend, all right, okay? And take care of yourself. Have a good evening. Enjoy yourself, okay? And also take a rest a bit, okay? Before you're going to continue back again on your works there. So thank you very much. And I really enjoy and share some of the things with you guys over here, there, right? Hopefully it's going to be add more values on your understanding and knowledge at the same times. All right. Thank you very much, guys. So have a good evening there. And I'll see you guys then on our next sessions there, okay? Bye-bye.
The conversation and photography and film. Last week we
Yes. What is it down there, right?